I'm in the market for celery.
Did they ask them to put that in?
Like, trying to make ants on a log.
Hello, welcome to Guides to the Unknown. I'm Kristen.
And I'm her brother, William.
That's right, and we are going to talk about haunted retail stores in honor of this episode coming out on Black Friday in real time.
Yes, I had a fantasy in my mind of our listeners sitting in their car at midnight.
Yeah.
Waiting for, I don't know, Target to... I don't know how Black Friday works. I'm going to be completely honest.
I think it works differently now than it used to because of online shopping being such a thing. Like,
Yeah.
Are people really camping outside of Best Buy anymore? They could be. I'm just saying, I feel like I haven't heard stories that are that intense anymore.
I don't know. I genuinely don't know, but I like the idea of it. I know.
I do too. I was just spitballing.
Oh,
I hope
totally.
that's the case. Yeah.
It's a totally mocked thing, and I think for pretty decent reason. You think about people getting trampled to get a toaster or something.
It's crazy.
But I do like the idea of specifically our listeners with like a hot cocoa.
Yeah.
And it's early in the morning. Maybe, you know what? Maybe it's like 4:30 in the morning.
Right.
And the sun is just starting to peek through the trees. It's that sort of blue glow.
Yeah.
And they're trying to get their toaster, which I support that.
Oh,
if it's our
absolutely.
listeners.
I love toasters.
And they're going to get to listen to us talk about like commercialism with
Right.
haunted stuff woven in.
Right. They get to have a totally themed
Yeah.
sort of experience.
This is for your Black Friday haunt.
Yeah.
This is for your Cyber Monday haunt.
That's right.
Let's dance.
Let's dance, baby.
I'm pumped.
With the devil in the pale moonlight.
Oh, hell yeah.
Outside of, Petco.
Petco's Black Friday deals.
Oh, yeah. Out the wazoo.
I guess everybody does. I
Yeah.
don't know. Now, before we get started, as always, you can keep up with Guide to the Unknown by following at GTTUpod on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram.
That's right.
You should go join our Facebook group by going to facebook.com/groups/GTTUpod.
Yeah.
Post your Black Friday haunts in there.
Yeah,
What
any
are you
experiences.
haunting? Yeah. What kind of Buzz Lightyear toys are you trying to sneak up on?
Yeah, totally. Doesn't have to be spooky. Just tell us what Black Friday deals you're after, because maybe it'll inspire some other people in there and be like, ooh, I want that too.
Hell yeah, share the
whatever.
news.
Yeah.
And as always, hit up patreon.com/GTTUpod so you can donate back and get access to our bonus stuff for our Netherworld Warriors starting at $4.
That's right. And we would also love it if you left us a review on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to podcasts or Facebook. Those reviews are a humongous deal, so please do that.
Exactly. Maybe you're not going out hunting for goodies.
Yeah.
Maybe you're sitting home because you had that good on Thanksgiving. Your
That's
tummy's full
right.
of turkey.
Your tie-tie.
Have a good time. Drop a review.
Yeah.
Let's get spooky.
Yeah.
Is it cool if I just launch into this one to
Please.
start? Okay.
Please.
Because a listener of ours, Samantha, messaged me talking about a haunted restaurant. And so I looked into it a little bit, and it's super interesting. It's
Cool.
definitely the kind of place that I wish was like nearby.
Local?
Yeah.
Where is it?
It's in El Paso, Texas.
Okay.
It is a place called Monteleone's Ristorante.
Nice.
It's an Italian restaurant, which I love.
Yeah.
So this primarily comes from CBS4local.com.
That's why you wrote that song about that Italian restaurant, excuse me, that's very famous.
Your favorite Italian restaurante. Monteleone's.
That's by Willie Joel.
Yeah, Willie Joel. Fellow Willie.
Yep.
So Monteleone's can be recognized because it has a gigantic like face, like a 3D face on the wall outside.
Cool.
Of somebody smoking a cigar. It's gaudy.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. A lot of the stuff from this restaurant it's full of statues. There's
Cool.
also a YouTube video that digs into this same info, which I'll put in the show notes and everything if you want to watch it. But this is the kind of place that has a bunch of statues inside as well.
Yeah.
And some of them are, normal human statues, but still that's creepy. 'Cause
Yeah, totally.
in this like news video, whatever the hell, they keep doing close-ups on eyes of statues.
They know what they're doing.
Yeah, freaky deaky. But also, Monteleone's is totally playing into the fact that it has a reputation for having ghosts, because some of the statues in there are also like skeleton statues.
Oh, cool. Fun.
They're
what a weird
definitely
restaurant.
leaning into the spookiness, without a doubt. So, at one point, owner Gary Monteleone discovered that their restaurant used to be a spiritualist church.
Oh.
Yeah, so I did some additional digging. I had to go to hauntedrooms.com where I found out that at some point in their history, Monteleone's had an opportunity to expand. They were going
Okay.
to grow their restaurant and take over like a lot right next door to them. So when they got into there, they found a room that was walled up.
Oh.
And why? So they break into it and they are doing all this, I don't know,
Renovation or
renovation.
whatever.
They rip up the floorboards where they discover old photos and a charter from 1922 for the Texas Spiritualist Association Church.
Cool.
And he thought it might be fun to display them.
Yeah.
No bueno.
Oh.
You start to
He
get
woke
yourself
something?
Yes, I think so. Because he has evidently had countless encounters with spirits in his restaurant. Here's a quote from Gary Monteleone. When I went to close the front door, it looked like a charred hand and forearm came at me through the side of the door. I get chills even talking about it. When I had slammed and closed the door, he was still pounding on the outside. And he's not very used to this kind of thing. It was very terrifying, he said. A charred
God.
arm.
Oh my God.
Now, I don't know what happened to that building.
Right.
But if I think about a restaurant and a charred arm, it
Yeah.
suggests some sort of a
Yeah.
cooking explosion.
Right.
A chef's explosion.
Right.
Happened. And a charred arm. And also for it to be pounding on the outside.
Yeah.
Is it trying to get in?
Right. Or is it trying to be let out?
I don't know.
No, I'm sorry. It's from the outside. Never mind.
From the
But
from the outside. So it's like pounding
But
to get in.
Huh.
Don't know, but a charred arm. I just saw a charred
That's
arm.
cool.
So you're just closing the door. You're just like having a normal day, whatever. I don't know what
Right.
time of day this was. Maybe he's closing the door so we can lock it from the inside or I don't know.
Yeah.
But as he closes it, somebody just reaches out to try to grab for the handle real quick and the arm is all burned.
Oh my God.
No. Another time, a customer's child was crying inconsolably. When asked why, the child, who refused to uncover their eyes, pointed to an empty corner of the restaurant and said, "He's over there."
Oh my God.
Who is he?
I'm more apt to believe a child's vision
Yeah.
with this kind of stuff because they don't have the incentive adults have to make something up.
Correct.
So that's scary.
Yeah, he's over there. How does a
Ew.
child know that that thing in the corner is not just a human, by the way?
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
Right. They might, I don't know.
I don't know. It makes me think a little...
They might not. Maybe they just think it's like a normal human person, but they're like making scary faces at the child that made them cry or something.
Yeah, maybe.
You know?
It makes me think of the beginning of It Follows
Mm-hmm.
before you are let in, from movie language, before you're let in on the fact that there's like a demon that's
Right.
following you. There's a couple on a date and he's like, all right, let's talk about that girl in the yellow dress over there. Mm-hmm. His date goes like, what girl in a yellow dress? It's like, oh,
Yeah.
Oh my God.
That's not good. That's not good.
it's not good.
In
But
movies
from,
like this, it's a problem.
from his perspective, he didn't know that monster
Was anything
any
scary.
different from the rest of the people. This child knew somehow. So what's up with that thing in the corner?
Right.
A contractor that Gary Monteleone hired refused to be in the restaurant alone. So eventually, Gary calls in a psychic, Diana Calamia, a spiritualist minister as well.
Mamma mia.
Calamia. Here's what Diana Calamia had to say. When things started getting really scary and hairy there, which I
like her.
loved immediately,
Yeah.
we were trying to figure out what was going on because everyone was wanting to blame Albert, who was the resident guardian ghost here.
Okay.
Okay.
Like it's a known thing.
Known thing.
Yeah.
Albert, resident guardian ghost. Then, according to Calamia, there are 4 guardian spirits, but 1 negative spirit. Thomas.
Oh.
Thomas.
Bad Thomas.
Thomas would throw cans and other objects at the kitchen wall. In a YouTube video, the YouTube video I'm talking about, Gary shows where Thomas ripped stuff off the wall. There's like a part of the wall and like 3 bits where almost like the plaster and paint are chipped away. It's like you can see something got ripped off the wall there. Which I think is funny because it's like damage on the wall. You
Yeah.
can be like, see, you ripped it off rather than
Right.
the shelf just having too much stuff on it and it falls off or something.
Yeah, totally.
Whatever.
But you know what? Maybe live, like, did they see that happen or something to that? So maybe to him, it could be like, this is just a fact. Like, this stuff got ripped off the wall.
True,
But
yeah.
to anybody else who views, they're just like, okay, so there are holes in a wall. This means nothing to me.
Yeah,
You know?
I'm glad
It's
that
all perspective.
I'm glad that you feel so strongly about it, Gary
Like,
Monteleone, but
To me, I don't have the same emotional weight attached to these. I didn't witness anything.
Yes, your wall's full of holes, and from
Yeah.
my perspective, your story might be.
Yeah. Nice.
Thank you.
Welcome.
So Calamia does a cleanse. cleanse. Now there's no negative energy in Monteleone's Ristorante, but it is still a portal for spirits left behind.
Okay.
Says Calamia.
All right, a posi portal.
This is a portal area. It helps the spirits that are lost. It's a, how do you call it? A relationship that we have with them. And it's a promise that we make with them to let them know that on this night, we are here to help any that may be stuck here to cross to the other side.
So I guess that spiritualist church kind of opened that and it's not closable. Do you think that's kind of the
maybe Calamia
implication?
made sure that nasty Thomas, bad Thomas, got the boot.
Totally, but
as long
otherwise,
as, yeah, exactly. If Albert's not making a mess,
yeah.
who's he bothering?
Yeah.
We can help him cross over? Sure.
Fair.
So evidently every third Thursday of the month, the restaurant hosts Dining with the Dead, a 3-hour experience filled with food, stories of the paranormal, and a seance.
That is so awesome.
Don't you that's why I'm like, what if this was nearby and we could go to
That is so
Dining with the Dead.
Cool. Also, let's say if the dead there are real and, like are part of this and present, how cool for them maybe.
1,000%. Yeah, I can hang out with the living.
Yeah, like there's a special night like that honors us. Like this is very nice.
It's almost the third Thursday of the month.
They must love the third Thursday of the month. What a fun thing.
Yeah, exactly.
That's so cool.
I love it. Owners say that the event is so popular, it sells out.
Doy.
Month after month after month. So the final thing, this place, the Monteleone's Ristorante, was also featured on an episode of Paranormal Witness on Sci-Fi. Season 3, Episode 4, Dining with the Dead.
William, was that playing when we came downstairs?
It was.
I was going to say something. I was like, it sounds like he's watching Paranormal Witness, and then you changed it to something we're going to do later. And I was like, oh, maybe I'm just wrong.
Yeah, no, I was watching it.
And you recognize like their sound cues and
I
stuff.
had literally only just started, so I didn't get to see all the fun like recreations of events and stuff. But just so that everybody knows, if you want more, Paranormal Witness, Season 3, Episode 4, Dining with the Dead. And so once again, thank you so much, Samantha, for hitting us with that story. Very cool, very fun, and definitely the kind of thing where it's like, if you're going to spend your money somewhere, and you are, why not go somewhere where there's spooky ghosts and stuff happening?
Absolutely. That's a twofer if I've ever heard one.
Absolutely.
All right, cool. So I'm going to tell us about a bunch of different retail places that have had hauntings in honor of Black Friday. Willie's going to take this one easy now. Last week, he carried the load, as we said, and cracked up at ourselves over. And so this week, Chrissy lays the load.
Yeah, share it with me, Chrissy.
I'm going to put it on you. First, we're going to talk about Pike Place in Seattle.
Oh.
Did you go there when you went to Seattle? I can't remember.
So I won't make this long.
That's fine.
I went to Seattle for American Hysteria's live show.
Yeah.
And I was there for maybe 3 days. I went to exactly my hotel room, the Hunt a Killer headquarters out there.
Now I remember.
Chelsea Weber Smith's house, the theater, my hotel room.
Yeah.
I saw the Space Needle from my Uber once.
Ooh.
But I did nothing. I went to Seattle and wasted it.
Well, what can you do? You weren't up for it or whatever.
The thought was I'd go back.
Yeah. It's a cool place. I would like to go back. Maybe if we had told these stories before you went, you would have ventured out a little bit more because this is cool and fun. So Pike Place is this famous, big, almost like flea market-y kind of thing in Seattle. If you looked up a picture of it, you'd probably see it and be like, okay, I know what that is. They worked there during the Real World Seattle, famously.
Oh, right.
In, 1995.
This is where they throw the fish?
Yes, this is where they throw the fish.
At one point, I asked somebody, where is that? So that counts for something.
Very good. See, you tried.
Yeah.
So it's this big semi-open air market, and it has lots of booths and businesses of different sorts. So there are restaurants, food stands, like crafty booths. It's really big and really cool. And apparently has a number of ghosts haunting its aisles.
Oh, my.
So there was an article in the Seattle Times reporting it, and it turns out that part of Pike Place used to be a mortuary. And so some of the dead that came through that mortuary still may be around.
Wow.
So the mortuary was originally a couple of blocks away from Pike Place. And Pike Place opened 4 years after the mortuary. This was in like the early 1900s. But over time, the mortuary moved and Pike Place extended. So there have ended up being businesses that are located where the mortuary used to be, like either literally in their rooms or like over parts of it. So there are a few like repeat nickname ghosts that are just kind of around Pike Place in general that people see in different spots. Like an older guy named Frank who likes to introduce himself to people outside the bathroom at the alibi room. And others like Princess Angeline, Madame Nora, and the Fat Lady Barber.
The Fat Lady Barber? Yes. Why doesn't she get a name?
I don't know. There was a link to, so this part about the names is from a Mental Floss article, which we'll have a link to.
Okay.
There was like a link for more information about the names, and I clicked that and it was defunct. So I don't know the stories of these people beyond what I just said.
Defunct. Well, funk it up. Give her a name.
Come on. She deserves it.
Justice for the fat.
Absolutely.
We have names.
Absolutely. So businesses like Kell's Irish Restaurant and Pub, which is thought to be where the embalming room and crematorium were, experience like concentrated kind of regular activity, maybe because of them occupying spaces that the mortuary was in. So the Mick Elise family that owns Kell's has seen some weird stuff. They said that a wall mirror fell and shattered in the bar area, but landed in a neat little pile. Like they heard it happen, and then they went in there, from my understanding, and it wasn't shattered everywhere like you would think. It was just kind of all clumped together.
That's weird.
Like what?
That's like two spirits.
Yeah, like had to work together. One smashed the mirror and the other one had a dustpan. Like,
yeah. Is it a good spirit who's trying to at least contain the damage done by a bad spirit?
Ooh, that's a cool idea.
Right? How odd is that? Like a Goofus and Gallant of the spirit world.
Yeah.
Goofus smashes stuff. Gallant can't undo it, but he can try to make it.
But he can try to kind of contain it.
Yeah.
Maybe. I like the idea. Okay, then who's the third person who did this? When they ran in to see what the noise was, first of all, they saw that it was just in a little pile, but also there was a single burning candle sitting on the bar.
Huh.
Right?
Single burning candle.
Okay, here, I'm just thinking of this as we're talking,
yeah,
spitballing.
Of course.
What if a ghostie lit the candle across from the mirror, and that was supposed to be some sort of spell sort of thing, maybe some sort of like scrying kind of situation? Another ghost smashes the mirror to prevent whatever is supposed to happen. And maybe either that ghost or a third swept it up to try to contain the mess.
I'm sorry I have to do this, but I have to break this mirror because otherwise you're going to be in danger.
Right, exactly. That could be opening a portal or something like that.
Yes, a candle in front of a mirror. Maybe there's like a feedback loop that gets created there and it can open, a portal.
Exactly. So it could have been somebody doing good looking out and cleaning up after a baddie.
I like that.
The family has also seen a tall skeletal man wearing a suit jacket walk to the end of the bar and then just fade away and disappear. And other businesses have also had encounters in Pike Place. There's a woman named Nina Menon of her shop, The Bead Zone, who was on the phone one day having a, quote, rather agitated conversation when strands of red beads that were hanging on a wall hook came crashing down.
Oh.
So I don't know if it was that she was having a fight on the phone and maybe almost poltergeist-like that energy from her caused a crash. Maybe there's something about the area of Pike Place that even within your own energy amplifies it. Like there's some sort of spiritual something going on, or otherworldly boost going on there. Or it could have been a ghost and they didn't like that she was on the phone yelling or something.
Keep it down!
Yeah, I don't like the agitation in this rather heated phone call. But she said that she had been a healthy skeptic before that, but that, quote, seeing was believing for her.
Yeah, that's interesting.
There's also a restaurant in there called Avenue 1 that had 2 wine bottles fly off a rack, almost hitting a manager in the head. A vase that had been previously missing all of a sudden turned up on a table that had just been set.
Ooh.
That would freak me right out.
Where did this come from?
Yeah, like if we've been missing a vase and then I set a table or something, come back and the missing vase is on it and there's no explanation, what the hell? You could obviously think that maybe a person, like in school or something, like the person who took the vase, just return it. I'm not going to get you in trouble. You don't have to say anything. Just put it back. Maybe for some reason a person stole the vase.
Right.
I was like, but that would freak me out. That's kind of strange. And a diner swore that they saw an old woman hugging a shawl to herself disappear through a wall.
That's sad because the implication of that, at least partially, is that she's cold.
Yeah, totally.
Is she cold forever?
I don't know. Maybe.
Like, is that a torturous, a punishment for eternity?
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah.
And going through the wall. Why?
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 Where are you going?
Maybe it's warmer in there.
Where are you going? Is it warmer in the wall?
It's warmer in the wall. You sound like James Spader.
It's warmer in the wall.
There's a restaurant called Cafe Sophia whose customers felt some like ghosty vibes at a specific table. So the owners, the Craigs, ended up nicknaming that the haunted booth. One night, diners taunted the ghosts to show themselves, and chunks of plaster fell from the ceiling 5 feet from the table. Now, it turned out that there was a problem with the ceiling.
Oh.
So it could have just been totally coincidental.
Could have been, yeah. Or it could be a ghost.
Yeah.
Or it could definitely be a ghost.
Yes.
2 options. 1, the roof was already damaged and we knew that. Or 2, it's definitely a ghost. Forget about option 1.
Or because the roof was damaged, did that make it easier for the ghost to dislodge this plaster
That's how they get
to make it fall? This is how they get you.
That's how they get
But
you.
it also, like, if you believe this stuff, you could be like, well, maybe.
I know.
Then it makes it a little easier. It's easier for a ghost to bring down a chunk of plaster that's already loose than one that's totally intact.
True.
That's why this is all hard to reckon, because there's always something, even though obviously there's more credence and proof around the something that's proof-based.
Yeah.
If you believe this already, there's always like, well, but that's why it actually is a ghost.
Yeah.
You know. One of the owners of that restaurant also saw a pair of shoes in a bathroom stall before they vanished into thin air.
They get flushed down the toilet. Occupado, I'll be right out. I'm getting sucked in.
Maybe it's a portal to go to like the Seattle branch of the Ministry of Magic.
Maybe. Help me.
So they flush themselves down the jump, but they misconstrue it as ghostly.
Yeah.
So there's a woman named Mercedes Yeager who gives ghost tours of Pike Place. And she said that the group of ghosts that haunts the whole area is very diverse. She said that the entire building structure is on an old Squamish Indian burial ground. And she also thinks that former Chinese and African American laborers are unsettled and angry at never having gotten credit for helping build Seattle.
Interesting.
So that's based on doing ghost tours and having like mediums come through and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So keep your eyes open when you go to Pike Place. It's a cool place anyway. And go to the bathroom and see if Frank introduces himself to you.
Well, I'll definitely check the bathroom.
Me too.
I'll close my eyes through all of Pike Place and only open them in the bathroom.
It would scare me, ghost or no, if by the bathroom there was just a guy who was like, I'm Frank. And I'm like, I don't know you.
I don't know you. I'm busy. Hey, Frank.
Yeah.
I've heard about you.
Yeah.
Let me go to the bathroom,
Let
Frank.
me pass, Frank.
Yeah, hey, I'm Will. Gotta go.
So now we're going to go somewhere else on the West Coast.
Okay.
There's a Toys R Us
Hell yeah.
in Sunnyvale, California. And I wrote, seems more like Sunnydale.
Whoa.
That's where Buffy lives, and it's a hellmouth.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
So this, I've never heard of this before, but this Toys R Us was apparently on a miniseries called Real Ghost with Leonard Nimoy. I've heard of that before. I mean, I haven't heard of the Toys R Us. I've never seen this show, though.
Yeah.
I think it was just 2 episodes, and I'm getting the story of that from strangerdimensions.com. So apparently, I think we should take this with a grain of salt, because most of the info was divined through Sylvia Brown. Do you know who that is?
Yes, she's a psychic that would go on stuff like Montel.
Yes.
And Jerry Springer or whatever the hell, and be like, yeah, your missing son? Yeah, he's dead. Don't bother looking for him. And then these kids would really be missing.
Yeah.
And could have been found.
Right, that legit happened
Yes.
one time where she told a family that their son was dead, and then they found the son, thank God.
Yes.
But
John Ronson did a story about her. John Ronson, who's a journalist.
Yep.
Very famous journalist. He went on a cruise where Sylvia Brown was and kept trying to confront her because he's like, you're doing 2 things. Sometimes you're giving people false hope. Sometimes you're giving people a false sense of defeat. You are manipulating people's emotions. So
Right.
Sylvia Brown, thumbs down from the GTTU crew.
oh yeah, she's a huckster supremo.
Yeah.
And so you can find that article that John Ronson wrote online, and it's also in the book Out at Sea.
Yes.
Or Out to Sea.
I think so, something like that, yeah.
Love John Ronson. But yeah, so she's no good, and that's mainly where the ghost part of this story comes from. However, she was brought in because real people experience stuff in the Toys R Us, so
Okay.
we can take those experiences with, I mean, a little less of a grain of salt, because they're not by proven liars.
It might be filtered through cheesecloth, but
Yeah, exactly.
there's
They're not
something.
Sylvia Brown. Like,
Right.
she came in because there was something.
Right.
People were feeling they were experiencing something in this Toys R Us. So some kind of standard ghosty stuff, like employees heard their names called when no one was there, or they felt that they were touched by something and no one's there. Items flew off shelves and footsteps were heard in empty aisles. In the bathrooms, again, always check the bathroom. Doors opened and closed on their own, and the water would turn on and off by itself.
What's up with ghosts in bathrooms?
I don't know. I mean, what you love in life, maybe you love in death.
Yeah,
I bet I'm going to be haunting the bathroom.
I know where I'm going.
Yeah. Like morning mortal.
Yeah, morning mortal. See you in the U-bend.
That's right. One of the standout moments from that episode, apparently, and this story is that at one point a mysterious voice came over the PA system at Toys R Us saying, "The Lord giveth, the Lord taketh away."
Ooh.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's heavy.
Yes, totally. I mean, you're like, okay, I just thought it was just like normal ghost or something, but who's this like scary biblical ghost in here now?
Heavy anyway. Very heavy for a Toys R Us. Right?
It is especially heavy for a Toys R Us. Yeah, definitely. I wonder if Ouija boards being sold in Toys R Us has anything to do with this.
Hey, you're finally over your Ouija board fear, you told me.
I did. I'm still willing to do it.
I've got a Ouija board right there. I literally have a Ouija board within arm's reach at any given moment of the day.
Upstairs?
Everywhere. You know how like some people keep like a baseball bat under their bed and stuff? I keep Ouija board there. I got a bunch in the bathroom. I'm prepared.
Yeah, for some reason, I was like, so I used to for a long time. We talked about it on the show. I didn't want to mess with Ouija boards. I was like, there are so many stories about like demons and Ouija boards. It just seems like better to keep away.
I think we should have a Patreon seance.
I do too. I've already thought this, and I figured you thought that too.
You probably projected it to me mentally, and I caught it.
Absolutely. But yeah, I was thinking about them for some reason recently. Oh, because why wouldn't I be, I guess. Yeah. And I was like, I don't know. It's really just like a tool like any other. Like, I wouldn't be afraid of a pendulum or I don't even know what else. Oh, I know. Ghost hunting equipment. I was like, I wanted to buy, this is why. I was thinking about the spirit boxes that they use on a lot of ghost shows where they try to capture EVPs, and it's even beyond that. I don't know how it works, but there's like this thing to try to capture voices. And I was looking at buying them online, and then I was like, if I'm not afraid to use this, why am I afraid to use a Ouija board?
That's a good question.
And then I was like, maybe I'm not really afraid to use a Ouija board.
It's a very good question.
So, guys,
we're going to do it.
Patreon.com/GTTUpod. More details to come, but
I think we got to do it.
We're going to hit up a little Ouija.
Hell yeah.
So anyway, yeah. So I wonder, I don't really think that, but if Ouija boards at Toys R Us has anything to do with it.
I do associate for some reason demons with enjoying stuff like toys. I think it's a way for them to contaminate or corrupt things that are supposed to be inherently good and playful and nice. So a toy, a baby doll, right? Like a Barbie or something.
Yes, that's
like
the voice.
A demon would go straight for that thing, I think.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. I think so. So they said that they also saw a figure on a few occasions, a man in about his 20s dressed kind of old-timey. Sometimes he looked solid like a person, and sometimes he was kind of like a shadow person.
Oh.
So they held a seance in the store. I wonder if it was with a Parker Brothers Ouija, just grabbed off the shelf.
Yeah, just drop it on the floor and go like, it's damaged now.
Like I used to do with cookies at Starbucks.
Drop them on the floor?
Yeah.
Kristen used to drop fresh, warm cookies on the floor and step on them a little bit with her shoe. It's damaged now. I guess I have to eat it, boss. Alone. No one else is around.
No, we would do it together because if there was a cookie that had like an edge wrong or something, they would tell us that we could chop it up to put out for samples for customers. But guess who was sampling more than anybody?
Oh my God. I put it on the free sample plate. Yeah, but the free sample plate was hidden under the register.
Those sugar cookies were so good. I don't know if they changed the recipe, but hit up your local Starbucks for the, I can't remember what it's called, sugar cookie.
Do you still have your Starbucks apron or anything?
No.
You should sometimes try to dress up like a Starbucks employee and walk in and just be like, "Hi, Chandra, I'm just checking on the cookie
situation. Like try to act all natural."
Yeah. Police!
Which is very natural.
Police! Taking the cookies.
That was a great job. Whenever I go to Starbucks and I have to wait for something, I watch what they're doing fondly. I really enjoyed that job. Yeah, I really liked it. Huh. It was like a really good part-time job. It's fun. Everything smelled good.
Yeah.
It's nice.
Not all the customers, I bet.
No, there's some wild times at that Starbucks. But still, behind the counter.
Everything smells good. *, not the customers. That's what's written on Starbucks' website.
There was one time, two very quick Starbucks stories. They can kind of pertain to GTTU because they both involved like goths.
Oh, okay.
One time when I was working, it was like a boyfriend and girlfriend ordered drinks. They both got frappuccinos, and one of them was waiting for theirs while the other one had already gotten theirs. And I can't remember which one it was now, but one of them was scooping their finger into the whipped cream and then putting like their whole finger in the mouth of the other one that was licking it off. They're like teens, like horny teens. Ugh. And I was just looking at them like,
just go back to the food court, you two.
Yeah,
Get to Spencer's.
Was crazy.
Go to that back section of Spencer's.
Oh, yeah.
And pretend that it's all a funny joke.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's so funny.
Yeah, it's hilarious.
And then the other one was I was coming back from the office, and this guy wearing a Marilyn Manson t-shirt. I don't know if these two actions were connected, but I feel like they were. There's this guy wearing a Marilyn Manson t-shirt, and he had his arms standing normal at first. I'm just walking. He definitely didn't do it on purpose. He wasn't facing me. He quickly puts both of them out, like boom, like he was like going on like a cross.
What?
And hit me right in the nose.
What?
Yeah.
You got punched in the nose by a Marilyn Manson fan?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I mean, it didn't do like crazy damage or anything, didn't break my nose or anything, but it hurt. I was like, ow, my nose.
Yeah. You got punched in the face by an idiot. Yeah,
backhand.
People are stupid idiots.
Yeah, why would you be in a public place and just like, ugh.
Get away from me, you dumb idiot.
I know.
You just gotta be like, I'm sorry. I know the customer's always right. I know that you were working, but you should just be able to go like, why are you being an idiot right now? You're being stupid. Get away from me.
So stupid.
That was so stupid. You should go home. You should have to go home now.
But besides that, love that job.
Great.
Yeah. Okay, so they held a seance in the store led by Sylvia Brown because by this point, they've reached out, it's publicized or whatever's going on. And it's captured by photographs. I don't think there's video of the seance in that show with Leonard Nimoy. I could be wrong, but I definitely know that there was a photographer there.
Yeah.
So she said during the course of the seance that the Toys R Us was built on an old plantation where the owner had hired a preacher named Johnny who had encephalitis and was unkindly nicknamed Crazy Johnny.
Cool nickname.
Right.
Couldn't do any better.
I know, very lame. He was whatever. He was in love with the owner's daughter, Elizabeth, but it was unrequited. And when she left to go marry a lawyer, now this is like, what? And while he was angrily chopping wood, he missed and fatally wounded himself.
Well, that stinks.
But also,
he just chopped his own legs.
How many solo, fatal wood chopping deaths do you think there are?
Not many, but if you cut your leg or something, you could nick an artery.
Yeah, you're right.
You know, and then it's just, you're toast.
You could. It just sounds weird.
It sounds stupid.
Yeah, it does sound stupid.
It sounds like the way that I would die if I was forced to chop wood outside.
Yeah, as I'm saying that, like, I could very easily die while chopping wood.
Where's Will with all that fire? Oh. Will.
Damn it.
We're going to be cold tonight.
Yeah. Right. Will more cold than anybody.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So the so his spirit now roams the halls. Oh, I'm glad that I went back to my notes because I left a pretty good little sentence here. Leaving him destined forever to be a Toys R Us kid.
Oh my God. You know what?
What?
That's a good reason why Ghost might be pissed in a Toys R Us. Like you're stuck in Toys R Us. You got to listen to the stupid music they play.
You have to hang out with Jeffrey.
Yeah, you got to hang out with Joffrey, the giraffe.
Yeah.
Horrible.
Yeah, not good.
No.
So that's probably why he's acting up and saying like the Lord giveth and the Lord taketh away because he was a preacher. So the article said that the reports are mixed about whether people continue to experience anything. I don't know if that Toys R Us is still operational. I can't remember when this article is from, but whatever. Yeah. And this is why I said Petco earlier. It was in my mind a little bit. But they found somebody who worked at a Petco in the same area who said that weird things happened there too. Like, quote, dog tennis balls rolling off out of the racks and office papers thrown on the floor. What could be more chilling?
Maybe a dog was there.
It's almost like an unruly creature known for creating havoc.
Yeah, and loving tennis balls and stuff.
Specifically loving balls.
I wonder if, like, dogs, the day that the tennis ball was invented, all simultaneously were like, huh, something good just entered the world.
All of their ears went up.
Oh, I feel surprised and delighted. Something good happened somewhere.
we're probably still experience the effects of that. Because you know the butterfly effect, like, you know, a butterfly flaps its wings. Can you imagine all those tails wagging?
I know.
What must still be reverberating today from all those tails going nuts when the tennis ball was invented? Could blow your hair back. So the next one, we're bringing it over to the East Coast at a place we love, Massachusetts.
Hell yeah.
This is a story from the Market Basket grocery store in Massachusetts just this past year.
Oh, really?
And this article is up on today.com, like the show, you know, today.
Yeah.
So this past March, employee Christiana Bush, who's a psych major at UMass, which is nearby, but had worked at the Market Basket for 11 years, so since she was a kid, said she saw a ghost in the store. She had previously never believed in the spirit world and was skeptical of all things supernatural, apparently, but, and I'm just going to do direct quotes. I was in the bakery working and I was writing on a cake for a customer, Bush explained. And when I turned around to bring the cake to the counter, I saw the lady in the background. She was staring right at me. I looked down for a second because it didn't register, and when I looked back, she was gone. The apparition was, according to Bush, so human-like that if it hadn't been for the woman's dated appearance, she wouldn't have thought much of it. It wasn't like something out of the corner of my eye. She was staring right at me. Ooh. It must have been for a second and a half. She was old. She had short, curly grandma hair, like every grandmother's haircut. And she was in this white dressing gown and had a white hair cap, and she wasn't wearing shoes, Bush told Today. I thought it was really strange that she wasn't wearing shoes. So she started looking around for her, thinking that, like, maybe she's nuts and it's a real person.
Yes, of course. Maybe this lady just went down an aisle or something, yeah.
Right, and like the fact she doesn't have shoes on, like maybe she's around and she needs help or something, but she couldn't find her anywhere and was totally thrown by it.
Sure.
It was just like not something, it sounded like it was just a throwaway sentence, but it sounded like she really like just didn't believe in this stuff whatsoever. And then was like, what the hell? So she was totally thrown by this experience, unsurprisingly. And she went home, and I like this because it's the kind of thing that I think I would do or you would do. She went home and tried to search online for like the history of the Market Basket and what it's on and like why or how it could be haunted and maybe by who, which is like trying to put these pieces together. And so she ended up posting in her local Facebook group, "This is going to sound strange, but has anyone seen a ghost in the Wilmington Market Basket?" Like basically, you know, like your town Facebook group.
Yeah.
So they have a screenshot on today.com, and it had 116 reactions. There were thumbs up, shocked faces, and laugh faces. And it had 450 comments when they took that screenshot.
Yeah.
So some people said that they had seen a ghost in there. Other people said that they've never seen that, but they support her experience and like believed her and were like, maybe she appeared to you for a reason. Some people said like they're taking it, you know, at her word.
I am fascinated by the idea of when you see a ghost, it's looking right back at you.
Oh, yeah.
It almost makes me wonder from their perspective, what's happening? Mm-hmm. Are they seeing you as a ghost?
Right.
You know what I mean?
We talked about that before. Like, it came up in the parent house, like the idea, the people from The Conjuring, the idea that for the ghosts in that house, maybe the parents were like the ghosts.
Right. Yes, exactly. Mm-hmm. And so like, is this ghost from, let's say, I don't know, the 1800s, who cares, whatever. But so she's just on that plot of land doing something.
Right.
And then she looks up and
hanging out in her bathroom. She's not wearing shoes.
Yeah, exactly. Hanging out in her bathroom. And she looks up and sees somebody icing a cake.
Right.
Writing on a cake. She's like, what the hell?
Yeah.
Like, are they just on the same wavelength at the same moment for some reason? So they just both see each other?
Right. For some reason, there was like an overlap that created a blip where they were both present at the same time.
Or, and this is kind of scary, that ghost is a ghost.
Yeah.
It's the year 2018. And the ghost is like wandering the afterlife, whatever, and then senses something about you. You're on my wavelength right now.
I don't even like you looking at me like that right now.
Why are you on my wavelength right now? You're tuned into my station.
Right, you can see me?
I can tell that you'd be able to see me.
Yeah.
And so just like putting out that energy, whatever. And now that person working there senses like, oh, something feels weird, looks up, sees the ghost on the same wavelength, but only for a second.
Yeah.
And it's off.
Yeah.
She just crossed over and was able to see the spirit world for like, I don't know, 2 seconds.
Right. Absolutely.
Gonzo.
That's definitely one of my favorite theories about these things is that it's kind of like radio stations. And sometimes you're tuned in and sometimes you're not. Maybe certain people are more finely tuned and others aren't. Like, I don't know. That just kind of makes sense to me.
And I find it very eerie and interesting that a ghost would be attracted to the idea of like, I think you can see me.
Right. Like looking right at you in your eyes.
And some ghosts might be like
waiting for you to finally make that contact.
Yeah,
like,
I know you'll be able to see me.
I hope.
I know you'll be able to see me. Some ghosts might want that. Some ghosts might be like, How dare you be able to see me? Like,
Yeah, totally.
Ghost stuff is the best stuff.
Yeah, it rules.
Every time we talk about ghosts, I'm like, I love the other stuff too. I mean, don't get me wrong. I love when we talk about some weird, obscure thing like a water horse or a will-o-wisp. I love that stuff too. But whenever we talk about ghosts, the ramification of there being ghosts, it's so crazy.
Yeah.
I love ghosts so much.
I do too. They're my favorite kinds of stories.
Yeah.
So some people kind of like validated her experience, and then of course a whole bunch of people joked and made fun of her and stuff like that. And even the corporate spokesperson for Market Basket kind of like poked fun at it a little bit. So Today reached out to them and they said, as far as we know, all of our stores are ghost free. But if there's anything to it, she's probably attracted to our Victorian era prices. The ghost.
Oh my God.
Isn't that crazy?
That's
so when I found this story, I was reading it and I was like, because, I would find things I'm like, this isn't really quite what I want to cover on the show. Especially when she said she went home and researched and posted on Facebook. I was like, I want to cover this. This is good. Yeah. And then when I hit that, I was like, oh my God. I need to talk about this and share it.
Perhaps the ghost is attracted to our Victorian era prices.
Well done.
Good God. Wonderful spin.
Absolutely. Good job. And then today's next sentence is, Market Basket is known for its frequent sales and very cheap produce. What?
I'm in the market for celery.
Did they ask them to put that in?
I'm trying to make ants on a log.
I kind of forgot ants on logs.
These prices are pulling me into the world of the living. I don't belong here.
They're scary. But you know what? With prices like these, maybe I can make do.
Yeah. My eternal pain might be satisfied with these apples. A full bushel for me. Can you help me with the self-checkout?
And they become more solid as they eat the produce because it's feeding their human body.
Or it's like Slimer and biting an apple and then it plops through their body on the ground like applesauce.
Ew.
Filter an apple through a ghost and it turns plum into sauce right away. Kristen, picture a banana. Kristen, picture a ghost eating a banana and it turns into goo right through them.
It's basically already goo. It's like barely grosser to me.
Banana is barely holding on to corporeal form.
Yeah, exactly. So it's not that much worse. Yeah. Nice try.
Bananas tried to do me in recently. I was recently scolded by a doctor for eating 2 bananas in the morning. They thought I was going to die. It's true.
You had like potassium poisoning.
I got an emergency call from the doctor saying, we did a blood test on you. You need to come in like right now. And it scared the hell out of me. And I ran in and they were like, your potassium is way too high. And so I started doing a little work on it. I was like, the day I got a blood test, I'd eaten 2 bananas for breakfast. And the doctor laughed at me and they were like, yeah, don't do that when you get a blood test. They thought that I had like...
Who knew? I've never heard that
before. They thought I was like poisoned.
Right? It's like when Elaine ate the poppy seed bagel before she had her drug test at work.
Yes, it's exactly like that. Yeah. It was so scary.
That's really scary.
It was like 2 months ago.
So do you avoid bananas now?
Yes. Anytime, well, now it gives me a good opportunity because literally anytime I see an apple, if I'm with Allie, I go, I can't have those.
Oh my God.
I say, keep me away from those. I'm not supposed to have those.
You mean banana?
Yeah. Bananas. I treat them as if they're poison to me when it's just I had 2 for breakfast. I don't know.
It's a good bit.
It's a good joke, and it annoys the hell out of her. So it's perfect.
Doubly good.
Couldn't be better. Couldn't be better.
So through Christiana's research, it's inconclusive. It turns out there's a 1953 Wilmington newspaper that says that tuberculosis had run through the community. Yep. That's like the only lead.
Well, but that'll do it.
That'll do it, but there's nothing specific. You know what I mean?
Right.
So that's the story of the Market Basket in Massachusetts.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah. Now we're going to do things a little bit unconventionally right now. We're going to throw to a clip.
Oh, yes.
From our live show in October that we had of my friend Greg Mania. You can go to gregmania.com. He has a book coming out in, I don't remember if the publishing date is public, but he has a book coming out in 2020 called Born to be Public. You're about to hear some stuff about Greg Mania.
Hell yeah.
He's an awesome dude. He came to the show, and after we did our Guides to the Unknown episode live, we opened up the floor to people who had come and asked them to come to the mic and tell a ghost story. And the ghost story that Greg told happens to be about working in a retail store.
Enjoyed this story, and we'll see you on the other side. I think we have time for like maybe one more.
Yeah,
If anybody's got anything.
If not, no prob.
Does anyone want to make up a ghost story that didn't happen to them?
Greg.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Tell everybody your name.
Yeah, we won't know the difference if you make it.
Hey, folks, I'm Greg. I think I told you this story,
I know you're about to
but
say.
this is about... So I live in New York, and my first job in New York was at a consignment shop in Soho. And this was a shop that just opened, and they were just training the staff. I just moved to New York, and they were training me as well. So there's about 3 of us on the staff. And the 2 upper managers, they were cleaning the basement. They were organizing things down there. It's a clothing store. It's a retail shop. Already a scary story in itself. So they're cleaning the basement, and they found a little a voodoo. Yeah, has the pins in it?
Yeah, like a voodoo doll.
Voodoo doll. So
Yeah.
it's a little tiny voodoo doll with pins in it. And they found it like within a crack of like, something like this, like a wall, just like sitting there in this little crack. And they take it out. They're like, what is this? Why is this downstairs? And when they removed it, they didn't like clean it up or anything. And the next day when we opened, there were like bags on the ground. And like every night when you clean a retail store, you straighten it, you put all the merchandise back where it's supposed to be. And there were bags on the floor, and we didn't know why. Like, we're in Manhattan, and it's straight, there's no curves, nothing. And then each day, more and more weird things started happening. The next day, the thermostat was set to like 85. No one touched it. And bags started just falling by themselves. I saw a bag, like, far end of the shelf just start falling off, and we had no idea what was going on. So we go back downstairs, and they put the voodoo doll like back because one of the employees was very superstitious, and she was like, I think we like pissed someone off or something. She put it back in like the little crevice. Then we hire a new employee, this young girl, and she comes across the little doll downstairs. We didn't tell her about it because it was a while ago. We stopped thinking about it. She found it, and she was like, what is this like weird little doll? And she pulls it out. And then bags start falling, shirts start falling off. And we were like, who took the doll out? Put it back. Yeah. So that was my one spit, because I've witnessed it, and it's creepy, freaky.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That's awesome. Thank you. That's crazy.
I know.
That is also a good sign where you're like, what's going on? Someone moved the doll again.
Right, at least you know how to fix
The
it.
doll back.
Yeah.
And there you go.
Yeah.
GregMania.com.
Yep, at Greg Mania on Instagram and Twitter.
Hell yeah. Thank you so much, Greg.
Yeah, thanks,
for coming to
Greg.
the show and telling that story.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you and I had an experience with a store with a ghost. This was maybe...
Oh, okay.
Yeah, this was maybe, boy, I don't know, 5 or 6 years ago.
It was a while ago.
This was a while ago. We took a family trip to Salem, Massachusetts. And when we went, it was a bunch of us and our sisters, Karen and Lynn, their kids, Robbie, Audrey. Was Kenny there?
Yep.
Kenny was there?
Mike Crawford.
Mike Crawford?
friend.
Hell yeah.
I think this was like 10 years ago, because I don't think I was even with Ryan yet or anything.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
It was a long time ago. And so we took a tour, because we're in Salem, Massachusetts. We
Yeah.
took a haunted tour of the area, where they took us to like a graveyard and to places where the witches would have been dunked and where people from that time lived, things like that. Anyway, the tour itself is not even the point.
No.
Our tour guide, was dressed up in garb of the time, 1700s. And he starts talking about how his shop, he does ghost like encounters
Right.
in the basement. And he says to us, he can tell, because we're a family unit, that our energy might be particularly reactive with the spirits in his basement.
Right.
Do we want to come back to his shop after closing and do a ghost hunt downstairs? And all of us collectively said,
Absolutely, we do.
hell yeah.
Yeah.
So we go back to the shop, and I'm thinking, by the way, like, because a little time had to pass. We had to wait for the sun to go down and stuff. And I'm thinking, before we get to the shop, like, I don't know what his shop is like. I don't really remember.
Yeah.
But I'm excited for it to be like, we're in Massachusetts, where like there's a lot of history, old stuff, whatever. I want this place to be full of antiques. I want this place to be like, when we go into the basement, I want the boards that hold up the roof to be like old boards that look like they used to be on a pirate ship or something. I want everything to be old.
Yes.
We go into the shop. They're selling, Birdie Bott's every flavor beans.
Yeah, it was like a tourist tchotchke shop.
Very tchotchke. Like they were like
with a magical bent. I don't remember what the store
I don't
was.
remember.
I think it was kind of like a haunty kind of store. But yeah.
But they had, like fart bags and Family Dollar fart bags.
Yeah, Family Dollar fart bags, things of this nature that that we all know about.
And so,
but it definitely was not an old, mysterious shop. It
Not
was,
at all. Yeah, it was all like, trends of the day.
Right.
Things that you could pick up for a couple of bucks here and there. So we all had to sit on the floor. Remember, we were all sitting on the floor upstairs for like a long time as we had to wait for him to do something. Or then he gave us a speech. The guy who ran the shop.
Him giving a speech. I don't remember sitting.
Yeah, I remember sitting on the floor of this store, and he gave us a speech. And he was talking about how ever since he was a kid, he remembers that he has been able to see ghosts, and his shining example was that when he was a kid, he saw a pair of...
Oh my God.
You remember this?
Yes.
He saw a pair of socks.
Oh my God.
He saw a pair of socks walking down the hallway of his house toward his door.
I haven't thought about this in forever.
I know.
Oh
so
my God.
He basically explains that we're going to go into the basement. He's got a few tools that he's going to use to try to get the ghost to interact with us, and we'll be able to ask them questions and stuff. All right. So we go downstairs to his basement, and it's just kind of like the basement of a shop.
Totally.
It's a mess.
There's crap everywhere.
Yeah, there's just like boxes of overstock or inventory that either he can't sell it anymore or he's keeping these Birdie Bott's tasty beans for himself. And he kind of clusters us all around in this really tight area, takes a little pen light flashlight, and he loosens it just so that it's like a hair from being able to turn itself on or off.
Yeah.
And places that where we can all see it, and he starts to address the theoretical ghost.
Right. But in the dark, like no lights on at all or anything down there.
Yeah. And he's saying, if anybody's here, do me a favor, can you reach out to that thing that I just put down and just try to twist the end of it? And he explains, he's like, they're ghosts. They don't understand what the hell a flashlight is. I can't say, turn on the flashlight, because these ghosts are from hundreds of years ago.
We're meeting them where they're at.
Exactly. So he's telling us, you've got to say to it, that thing, just turn the end of the thing. And we were all there sort of like with bated breath, but also I'm a total cynic. So I was kind of like, all right, he's got the thing rigged or whatever, but it wasn't turning on.
Yeah.
And it was probably a solid 5 minutes of him just going, no, that thing right there. You see the thing? Just try to turn the end. Just the thing right there. Try to turn the end. Can you hear me? If anything's here, just turn the end of that thing. And then at some point, it turned on.
Yeah.
He goes, okay, great. Can you try to turn that back the other way? Turn it back the other way. If anything's here, can you turn it back the other way? Like, it takes forever.
Yeah, it took forever.
But eventually it turned off. And then he started trying to ask it yes or no questions with the light. Quite frankly, I ended up being moderately impressed by the display.
I remember being like, again, I'm also, even though I'm willing to believe this stuff, I'm also not all in at every display of people saying that it's happening.
Right.
I remember being like, how is this happening?
Really?
How could this be?
Yeah, I couldn't, in my head was like, I cannot tell you how this is happening. I do not know how this is happening.
Yeah.
And yet, I know it's not a ghost.
Yeah.
Like that's where my head was at.
Yeah.
I refuse to believe that.
I was like, it's probably not a ghost guy. I was getting not good vibes off of this guy. I didn't trust him, but I was also like, but then how is he doing it? So is it maybe a ghost? Maybe people who like ghosts don't exclusively interact with just like normal, nice people. Like maybe it is a ghost, but he's just exploring the situation. He's a weirdo.
Exactly.
I couldn't make heads or tails of it.
His business is spooky stuff.
Right.
His bread and butter is spooky stuff.
Yeah.
But at the same rate, like, we were already there. Who cares?
Yeah,
like,
totally.
you could just be like, we're just not having a ghosty night.
Yeah, right.
I don't know.
know.
So we saw some stuff. Then he says he's going to take us back to his office.
Yeah.
Which is far away to the back. And he's talking about how he had an encounter there recently with like a poltergeist. And a ghost like ripped apart his office.
Yeah.
And made it a real mess.
Yeah.
And I think it's around this point that our nephew farted and then whispered to us that he farted. And we...
Thank you, because like I said, I don't remember this like perfectly. And this whole time you've been telling the story, I was like, something happened with a fart. Right?
Oh, something happened.
Okay.
Yeah, we all experienced a green ghost. But we all started like giggling under our breath, and the entire thing was basically a wash there for
totally.
me. We go back to this dude's office, and yeah, it's a mess. But he's kind of like, yeah, you see how like my office looks like crap?
Yeah, and like everything looked like crap down there.
A ghost did that.
It definitely looked crappier, but like, I don't know.
You know, like, well, that's not impressive.
Yeah, same as us talking about the guy like showing holes on the wall or whatever. Like, I didn't see that happen.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
So
So
this just looks like holes. This just looks like a messy room.
I'm just supposed to take for granted that this definitely happened and that
Yeah.
a ghost made your office look like garbage?
Right.
Okay. He made one of us sit in a rolling desk chair to see if a ghost would spin it around.
Oh yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah.
It didn't.
Yeah.
It didn't.
Right. That's right, man. This was something else.
It was something else, but it was fun. You know,
yeah,
it's
totally.
weird, and it's fun to be in a shop that's been like closed. You had to like
yeah,
lock
I
the
love
door
that.
for the ghost.
We were talking
hunt.
about that yesterday. To be in the mall when it's not all the way
Yes.
open. Whew,
Yes, it's
what
like
an
a,
experience.
there's a subversive thing that you get to be a part of.
Yeah, it's fun.
So we did that. It was fun. We we had fodder for conversation for a long time after
Oh,
that.
yeah.
And then I distinctly remember that I, days beyond this, wrote up an account of the experience of it.
Yeah. Yes.
And this is very weird. It must have been young Willie. It must have been like a decade ago. It was
Yeah.
probably in my early 20s. My brain hadn't fully developed yet.
Sure.
I tagged.
Oh my God. Oh God.
Do you remember this?
Yeah, kind of.
You know what I'm talking about? I found them online.
Right.
And I tagged them in the article because I was like, hey, I wrote about my experience at this thing. And I was excited about it. And he wrote back. I was like, oh, that's cool. And then I realized like, oh, crap. Like I wasn't really thinking straight. In the article, I write that like, it's probably a scam.
Right. Right. Yeah.
It's like, oh, shit. Why'd I tag the guy in that?
Yeah.
What's wrong with me?
I don't know. Your brain wasn't fully developed yet.
Wasn't fully developed yet. But that must still exist online. I don't know. That must still be so. I keep
God,
everything.
Wow, I
so
haven't thought about this in so long.
must still be somewhere.
Oh my God.
But fascinating.
Yeah,
Fascinating.
absolutely.
And a ghostly experience in a store that we had, a supposedly haunted store.
Oh my God, Will, good call. I didn't think about that at all.
Yeah.
Holy crap.
I was thinking about that the other day.
Yeah.
I honestly, it's one of the reasons that I wish that I somehow had a store. I'd love to have a shop or like a cafe that we owned and operated and could do shows in there.
Hopefully
and
someday.
write.
It's like Will in my dream.
Create stuff in there and have a basement that's weird and creepy.
Yeah, totally.
You know, Walt
We'll
Flanagan.
make it weird and creepy.
Walt Flanagan, who runs Jay and Silent Bob's Secret Stash, the comic book shop in Red Bank, and he's on the podcast Tell Him Steve Dave. They've done a series of episodes called Overkill, and he had a dream one night that Walt Flanagan, he had a dream or a vision or something that he was like a dandy.
Yeah.
In like the 1600s with knee pants. And he was running a jewelry shop.
Ooh.
And it is where Jay and Silent Bob's Secret Stash is now. So Walt's theory is that he's a reincarnated
Maybe.
fancy jewelry boy
Perhaps he is.
still on that spot.
Perhaps he is.
Thank you so much for hanging out with us.
Yes,
that brings
thank
us
you.
to the end of this week's episode of Guide to the Unknown. Happy Black Friday. Happy Thanksgiving.
Yes.
Hope you had a fun day. Hope you're having a good weekend. If you are have any interest in following up on Guide to the Unknown stuff, go follow at GTTU Pod on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Hit up facebook.com/groups/GTTUpod to join the secret society. Check out patreon.com/GTTUpod to give a little something back and get a bunch of bonus material by becoming another World Warrior.
Yeah.
Starting at $4.
That's right. You get your own secret podcast that comes out with a new episode once a month.
Hell yeah. You can also follow Kristen or myself online.
That's right. I'm at Chillin' Kristen on Instagram and Twitter.
I'm at The Myth Traveler. So thank you all so much for hanging out with us. Have a great rest of your day. We'll be back next week for more spooky stuff. Maybe a haunted Taco Bell. Who the hell knows what the future has in store for us?
Who knows?
Until that time comes, we must travel.
Back to the netherworld. Go we.
Here we go. Here we go.
We fly.
Whoa. Here we
It's getting me
go.
by the elbows first.